Welcome to another quick guide on how to play the Roots of Magic. This time we're going to look at generating actions. At the beginning of every game round, including the first, wizards generate, and in fact all models generate, a certain number of actions. The way that they generate those actions is twofold. Firstly, depending on the rank of the model, and ranks are something that are on the model's cards and in the rulebooks, and there are many different ranks, but presently we're dealing only with either wizard or acolyte. Wizards generate 3 mundane actions per turn. Acolytes generate 2 mundane actions per turn. In addition, this game is called the Roots of Magic for a reason. These points on the board are called Nexus points, and you can see that I have one of the colours of Housemerk for Hephaestus Zant, and one of the colours of House Durant for Luther Draxos. Now, if a wizard or an acolyte starts the game round within 6 of a friendly Nexus marker, then they will generate a number of additional action points. Now, these are called magical action points, and the difference between magical and mundane is only in name and the source. They all do the same thing. They allow a model to take actions of varying costs. The difference being that mundane actions generate wherever you are on the board, and they replenish the next turn wherever you are on the board. So it's always a good idea to use them, whereas magical actions only are applied if a model is within 6 of a friendly Nexus point. And the scenario will indicate how many magical action points will be generated by being within 6. So let's take the example of this position. Both models are within 6 of their friendly Nexus points. So how you show this on the board is completely your own option, but I'm going to, for the purpose of this video, indicate it using markers. So Hephaestus Zant is a wizard, therefore at the beginning of a game round he generates 3 mundane actions. He will also generate some magical action points depending on his location on the board. Now, as he's within 6 of a Nexus point friendly to Housemerk, he will generate 1, 2 magical action points, which he's able to draw out of the ground because the Root of Fear is nearby. In addition, every wizard and every acolyte has a source stone or a greater source stone associated with the house that they are affiliated to. And what that effectively means, it's a mini Nexus that walks around with them, that follows them around. It's considered to be a ring or an amulet or a trinket that they carry on their person that will generate a small trickle of magic. And in this case, source stones will generate 1 extra magical action point. Now, non-wizard models do not have a source stone because they're unable to manipulate magic to that effect. So, how many actions does Hephaestus Zant have? Well, he has 3 mundane actions and 3 magical actions, which means this turn he could spend up to 6 action points worth of actions. And he can split that between walking or climbing or concentrating or making attacks or abilities or anything else that would be within the rules for him to take as an action. In addition, if he chooses to spend the mundane actions, let's say they're all gone, but he chooses not to use his magical actions that he's managed to get hold of this turn by proximity to a Root of Fear, then he may keep the magical actions up to a limit of the power limit on the model's card. Now, I'll quickly show you a card, hopefully it won't be too blurry. Let's maybe use Zant, since we're using him as the example. You can see here that this final characteristic is slightly larger, and it's a 7. Now, that is the maximum number of magical power tokens that a model can keep between rounds for use in a later turn. So Zant could conceivably generate the power that he's gaining from the Root of Fear over a number of turns in order to build it up for a really big spell round or action round later on in the game, or he may use them as soon as they are generated every game round. That's the choice. One of the major factors in the Roots of Magic, and bear in mind that we haven't really discussed scenarios to this point, is your position on the board. Every wizard wants to stay within range of their own friendly Nexus to generate the maximum amount of actions that they could possibly use. But at the same time, every wizard also wants to convince their opponent to leave the safety of the 6 inches that give them extra actions. And that can be done either by forcing them to move closer to you via scenario, or using any number of attracts and repels, push and pulls, or translocates in order to move the model out of its zone of comfort. Doing that will give a model a massive action bonus and will force the opponent usually to spend actions to move back into that area. So they're both generating less actions, and at the same time they're spending the smaller number of actions they have to try and get back. So it gives a real bonus and advantage to a wizard and a player if they can manage to bring a model more than 6 inches away from their nexus point, because that will mean, still not 6 inches away, that will mean that only the source stone will generate any points. So it will be the difference of 2, in this particular scenario, it's the difference of 2 magical power tokens, which could be very significant. That could be a boost, concentrated attack, that could be a medium power spell of difference that could mean whether a wizard lives or dies. So very important to watch where you are at all times for generating actions in the Runes of Magic.